We are now talking to Ithaca Football Hall of Famer and National Football Foundation and New York Chairman Mark Hudak. What's going on, Mr. Hudak?
Good evening. Just take it one day at a time here on Long Island. As you know, we started opening up again yesterday, so it feels good.
Oh, it definitely feels good. I got a haircut today, Mark. I got a haircut today. I mean, I'm so excited because I'll tell you this. 9 weeks without a haircut, I look like I had a mop on my head. I look like I look like I had Don King, show me his hairstyle. I really did. It was terrible. It looked like a mop.
I know the feeling. I feel like the Wolfman from Glen Cove here. I've got an appointment set for us for Saturday, so I'm looking forward to it.
I don't understand this. You have to set appointments now. It's just terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
They're backed up. They went from being the industry you didn't want to be in to being the industry you do want to be in. So I'm happy for those people that they're open now.
Money talks, Mr. Hudak.
Yes.
As you guys know, we are talking to Hall of Famer and National Football Foundation and New York Chairman Mark Hudak. So, Mr. Hudak, tell us a little bit about the inductee of 2013 in the Ithaca College Athletic Hall of Fame.
Well, I mean, that was a special night, of course. I had a great experience, playing small college football at Ithaca. My senior year was 1988. We won the national championship that year for Division III, and I was a captain and All-American on the team, and just a phenomenal group of guys. It was a really special season for us. A lot of ups and downs, very challenging, and we ended up coming out on top. And I think obviously the team's success had a large part of me getting in the Athletic Hall of Fame at Ithaca College. I was recognized personally, but I've always considered that a reflection on the success we had as a team, and it was a great night. It was something I've really appreciated over the years, and I'm hoping that my team gets inducted in these next couple of years.
Talk about that season as a whole. In the Division III National Championship in 1988, you were one of the offensive linemen that was very good on that team. And again, talk about your playing career as a whole. You played there, I think, from 86 to that year, and then just that season. What were the emotions like? What was the experience like?
Well, it was an interesting season. We always took pride in playing, a very challenging Division III schedule. Our first game of the year, our starting quarterback broke his leg in the first half of the game against Albany. And always a stern test for us to start out the season. We won that game and ended up putting a freshman in really the second game and continued to win. We had a very good team, of course. But anytime you put a freshman in a quarterback, it's challenging to say the least. And then, we proceeded through the season unbeaten until we got to our Cortland-Ithaca game against our big rival Cortland, which was week 8. It was later in the it's now the last game of the season, but it was week 8 back then. And, the Cortland-Ithaca back then, I think it was really, a real perennial power back in the 80s. The Cortland-Ithaca sat in our film room and it collected dust for the most part. I don't even know if we took it to the games. I think the 2 years before my sophomore and junior year, I think we had beaten Cortland like 35-7, 45-7, something along those lines. But they were undefeated, and they had actually a guy by the name of Dennis Kaiser coaching them, who was an Ithaca guy who had been there. That was his third year. He had really turned the program around, and they were undefeated. And I remember taking the bus over to Cortland because, the two schools are only 17 miles apart. So we bussed over there for the game, and it just, the magnitude of, the press and the media and the schools had been building up the matchup. There were 2 undefeated teams going into that week 8 matchup. And we, got off the bus, and there were, 15,000 people screaming and yelling at us. And, when you pack that many people into those smaller Division III stadiums, it's electric. And, we ended up losing that game 21-20. We hadn't lost to Cortland in a while. It was one of those games where, the conditions were not ideal. The officiating was, I'll say, a little slanted, and we just didn't play our best. But we ended up losing that game 21-20. And, in Division III football, in order to get in the playoffs, you can really only afford to have really, sometimes you have to go undefeated to get in. I think the field back then was 16 teams. Anyway, we had to win out to get into the playoffs, and then we ended up, we had to beat an undefeated Washington Jefferson team to get into the playoffs. So then the first week of the playoffs, first round, I should say, we were sent to, because we were a wild card now, because we had a loss, we were sent to Wagner College to play the defending national champions, who were also, I want to say they were undefeated as well. And they were loaded. They had great back, great quarterback, great talent all the way around. So we won that game at Wagner in double overtime. It was an unbelievable game. Again, electrics, packed house, both sides of the field. And I will say, after we won that game, we were really on our way. We went back home and we played Cortland in a rematch. We beat them. We beat the number one offensive team in the country the next week, Ferrum College out of Virginia, who had Chris Warren was their running back. He was a great player for the Cowboys and the Seahawks, if you recall.
Mm-hmm.
So we beat them 62-28. Then we ended up going to the national championship, and we beat Central Iowa. They were the number one ranked defensive player in the defensive team in the country, and their nose guard was the player of the year in Division III. So that's who I had to block all day. But we won the game 39-24, and it was we ended up the season 13-1. It was a real run to the national championship as things got going. So it was a lot of fun.
We are talking to Ithaca Football Hall of Famer and National Football Foundation and New York Chairman Mark Hudak. Now, Mark, tell us a little bit about Ithaca. I've been to Ithaca. I've been to Cortland. My friends all went to school over there. I've been to Albany. Party schools. I mean, they have a lot of these teams. They have very good academic, especially Cortland. They're very, very well known for the physical education department. Tell us a little bit about Ithaca and the growth of the school since you've been in the school and now.
Well, the schools, first of all, I'll say this, the city of Ithaca, geographically, you've got Lake Cayuga there. It's a beautiful setting. It's in the Finger Lakes in central New York. You've got Cornell on East Hill, and you've got Ithaca on South Hill, and the city of Ithaca sits down in the valley, if you will, between the two. And it's a great college town. I mean, I think universally recognized as one of the top 5 college towns in the country. It's a great place to go to school, physically. The college is about 6,500 students these days, maybe a little larger than when I went there. But it's not a liberal arts college. A lot of people think it's a liberal arts school. It's a private professional program school. You could get a liberal arts degrees, but you can get a professional degree in a number of different areas. Our business school is on the rise, always been known as a great school for physical therapy, occupational therapy, health sciences, and communication school. The Park School is one of the best communication schools in the country. I'm sure you're aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
Locally, Bruce Beck, who we all know and love here in our local New York City metro market, is an Ithaca grad. Kevin Connors on ESPN comes to mind. Carl Ravitch, and of course the CEO of Disney, Bob Iger, is a Ithaca grad. So there's in media, David Muir from ABC, Ithaca grad. So great communication school, very good business program, great health sciences. And the other thing that's a lot of people don't know about Ithaca College is the music and theater arts program is one of the best in the country. So very diverse academically, very, it's a liberal, pretty liberal, small college setting, and a great place to go to school, a different philosophically than a Cortland, and Cortland, which I'm sure we'll get to, but I promoted and I put together the Cortica Jug game in MetLife Stadium last year, and I got a chance to work with Mike Ertz, the athletic director at Cortland, and the people over there, and they've got a great, Cortland's again great small college environment, beautiful physical location. I mean, their facilities, athletically speaking, are really fantastic. The Jets used to hold their training camp there, so they have great facilities, and the people there. I met, I had the pleasure of meeting the president of Cortland, and the administration. The people there are fantastic. So it's a very listen. It has been a testy rivalry over the years on the field, and it's gotten out of control at different times. But it's a congenial, collegial relationship between the two schools and the administrations, and it was a real pleasure being a part of that.
You actually brought up the communications. That's actually interesting. I had one of my best friends in high school who also played baseball there at Ithaca, was part of that communications program. Now he's writing for a very popular website for the Mets. So
why is he writing for us, Speedy?
Why is he writing for us? I don't know.
Why is he writing for us? He's such a popular guy.
Well, we got Tim LeCastro is.
Yeah, I think he mentioned that name too in one of our conversations. So yeah,
he ended up the season. He was with the Yankees for a while, but he ended up with the. He had a very good year with Arizona, I believe.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So, Mark, in terms of the magnitude of the rivalry itself, the Cortaka Jug, like you were saying, it's a late season rivalry right around that Thanksgiving window. Talk about the magnitude of it, what it means for D3 football, and again, comparing it to other rivalries we see in D1 sports and even professional sports. Do you consider it a top tier rivalry like that?
Well, I mean, I would. I think what's exciting is I think a lot of people are starting to, not just, I'm biased for sure, but I think, leading into this year, so this past year, of course, it's called the Cortica Jug, which comes from combining Cortland and Ithaca. This past year, we put the game in MetLife Stadium. My friend Bobby Garone, who's a Suffolk County guy, and I sort of put that whole thing together, and we're both very active with the National Football Foundation, so we were able to bring them as a host, and then we brought some sponsors together, and we set the Division III attendance record, all-time single game attendance record, with 45,161 people that came to the game. So I know that, for instance, the Yankees, have hosted a number of smaller college football games. They hosted Princeton and Dartmouth this past season. I think they got 20,000 people. The only that kind of crowd outdraws most Division I schools on a normal Saturday in the fall. So I think that says a lot. I mean, it was a great turnout. It was a great scene for college football. I think and it was a great game. And I think the people were, if you've never seen I'll call it a high level Division III football game, it's very entertaining, and it's played at a very high level athletically. And I think some of my friends who had never been to that game were really impressed.